Hello and welcome back to Get Involved Referee. We know you've missed us dearly. It's so good to be back with you today. Steve Conroy, Des Roache and myself, Lindsay Heron, have been chewing over the main talking points of the weekend in terms of officialdom. Not too many major dramas at the weekend, fellas, but certainly some good talking points to get our teeth into, and some lovely reaction from some of the coaches as well to the decisions that didn't go their way, so we can talk about that as well if you don't mind. And that would lead us nicely, I guess, into the Rangers Hearts match, a dramatic end to the game, Rangers winning it 2-1, 2 penalties in the game, both being disputed by the Hearts head coach. Steve?
Yeah, and what a surprise that he's disputing anything that goes against his team. But I think on this occasion, I think a lot of teams have had good points to say about penalties being given against them. This wasn't one of them. I've absolutely no idea what he's moaning about and what he thinks he's seen. Both of them are penalties. We've criticised Mr. Cantwell often enough, and probably Mr. Goldson often enough, the best goalkeeper in Scotland. Both of them are penalties. I don't know what the complaint is.
Well, I think that the second one, we'll come to that in a second. In fact, actually, we're better to deal with the second one first, if you like, Des, because this is the one that Stevie Naismith is most annoyed about. He's claiming that there was a block on his player before Peter Haring grabs a hold of Connor Goldson's shirt and, by definition, gives away the penalty. What was your view of it?
Well, I would have to disagree with Mr. Naismith there. I thought that Peter Haring quite clearly had a hold of the jersey prior to an intended block or intentional block that he seems to think. Now, if you think of the amount of challenges that go on in a penalty area, yes, these free kicks and corner kick set plays are set up. Of course they are. But Peter Haring clearly had a hold of the Rangers player's jersey prior to it happening. So as soon as that begins, then it is a foul. The collision with Lundstram is inconsequential.
Yeah.
And I was about to say for Stevie Naismith, who's clinging to hold on to his job, never mind hold on to his hair, I think he's really clutching at straws there. But again, it just shows you the pressure that he's under, because Hearts are on a horrendous run at this moment in time, and he's looking for any out that he can get. But to try and blame any official criticism there, no. John Beaton got it right, the team got it right. It's a penalty kick, and as Steve said, for me, both penalties were penalty kicks.
I guess it's the raw emotion of the manager straight after the game, Steve. You know, his team was winning 1-0 with almost 90 minutes played, and the next minute they've had it snatched away from them.
Oh no, absolutely. And it's a game of emotion, and that's probably why we've always said you don't interview a referee right after a game. You don't shove a microphone in their face just coming off and you think something's gone amiss. That's just testament there. I don't know if he's seen it or if somebody's reported to him that there was a foul before it, but no, he'd have been as well holding his counsel for 15 minutes and having a wee look at that and coming back out. But as Des says, that's the pressure that these guys are under, and there's a lot of clamour, certainly on the Hearts sites that I've seen. There's a lot of clamour for change there, so he's trying desperately hold on to his job. It didn't look particularly good at the weekend.
I think the pressure that he's under is growing by the week, and there's obviously certain public figures that are really calling for him. And I know a couple of Hearts supporters and a couple of Hearts players that they know the pressure they're under. They've got to get results. Mm-hmm. They really have got to get results now, because they're not certainly sitting in a very favourable position at the moment.
Absolutely.
His argument about the first award wasn't, I don't think, the challenge. I think it was fairly clear that Sibbick had brought down Cantwell, hadn't he? The ball's away from him, he clipped his heels, or tripped him up rather. What Naismith is saying is that it was over the time that was allocated for the additional time for the first half.
Huge bugbear of mine. If they care to listen to their own announcers, there will be a minimum of, so it might be, the announcement is there'll be a minimum of 5 minutes injury time. If there's a couple of subs, if there's a hack, if there's an injury, that time gets added on. So it is a minimum. So there's only one person in that whole stadium that knows exactly how much time is going to be played, and that's the ref. No offence to Mr. Naismith, it's no him.
So there were 2 minutes, minimum of 2 minutes announced that would be played. So we're now into 3 minutes when the penalty happens. So how much do you add on for, like you say, stoppages in these 2 minutes, if you like, of additional time?
Oh, there's nothing cast in concrete.
Right.
it's not word of mouth. What am I trying to say?
There's nothing hard and fast.
Yeah, theory says if it's a sub, it's 30 seconds. You add on what you think is right. If you think that there's an injury and somebody said 20 seconds of attention because of that, you'll add on 30 seconds. You'll add on a minute, whatever. It's up to you.
There could be throw-ins, there could be goal kicks, there could be corner kicks that people are just meandering over to take or just trying to run down the clock. But as Steve quite rightly said, it is a minimum of, so that could be 2 minutes turning into 5, turning into 7, be what it may be. So no, there's absolutely
nothing wrong with that.
No blame aligned there, no.
So you've got no compassion for a coach who complains that it's over the 2 minutes?
Absolutely not.
No.
Hard men in this place, they really are. I mean, gee whiz. Oh well.
We were never popular, weren't we?
No, don't think we will be this year either.
And it's sod's law, of course, when Hearts lose the penalty, Rangers get an extra boost and they end up going to win the game, so it makes it doubly difficult for Stevie and his team.
Oh, it's hellish. A time to lose it, especially when we're saying that they're desperate for points, and to lose it in the last few minutes. VAR
was involved in that game in the sense that John Beaton had to go and check that it was a penalty, and he gave it, and in your view he was absolutely right. But not so clever down at Livingston Dundee. That was perhaps the most contentious fixture of the weekend, fellas. A disallowed goal, a red card that was initially missed, but thankfully VAR caught it. What was your view of that one?
We'll talk about the sending off first, and fair play to, I was going to say Eric Martindale. That's a blast for the past, an ex-ref. Davy Martindale coming out and saying it was a straight red every day of the week. Fair play to him. It was one of the most cast iron ones you'll see all season. I have absolutely no idea how Willie managed to miss that. It was right in front of him, complete unobstructed view on it. Still missed it. But thankfully VAR on this occasion did what it's meant to do. Corrected a clear and obvious error and corrected it pretty instantly.
If you're going to give someone a red card, which that clearly was, I mean, it was nothing else. It's not a foul. It's not a passing in play. It's not a yellow card, and you can play advantage. It's a red card. The Livingston player has deliberately taken that opportunity to stand on his opponent. The ball breaks 10 yards further forward, and then he brings it back. I can only assume that somebody has maybe been shouting in his ear.
Shouting in his
and
ear
saying,
get that
stop,
back, Willie.
Stop. But how many times have we seen it? These high-profile errors are getting made, and still this certain referee continues to be given high-profile appointments. To me, that was probably the worst decision I've seen this weekend, and potentially worst decision I've seen this season.
It's the worst, certainly, for a while. It was right in front of him, clear view, and he missed it. God knows how he managed to miss it, but he missed it.
Thankfully, someone dug him out of a hole there.
It's clear that somebody, you would assume maybe the fourth official, somebody has been screaming in his ear, Willie, chuck it. And VAR, thankfully, told him to go and have a look at that. It's
just the play on bit I don't get. I really don't get that.
No.
There wasn't an advantage, was there, to Dundee at that time?
No, it's happening in the middle of the park.
Yeah.
And if you're going to sanction someone with a red card, then it's a severity that you have to remove someone from that field of play. Mm-hmm. So advantage is done, everything's done. The most important part of that game is stop the game and remove that player from the field of play. Mm-hmm. Your game, your race is run. And he almost had the temerity to try and, I don't mean go for Willie Collum, but he was trying to go for it, but he was trying to defend himself or justify it. No, get off. It's a red card. You're away.
Well, that's another aspect of it. But so first and foremost, VAR has saved Willie's backside there, hasn't it? For sure. So the right decision was achieved, if you like, in the end.
Yep.
Which is the most important thing.
And I suppose the only positive thing that we can say about I'll not continue that. There isn't anything positive in that. It was just awful.
Yeah.
Absolutely awful.
But you bring it up, I mean, Christian Montano, it's diabolical behaviour, isn't it? Stamping on somebody's totally out of order. He could have seriously injured Boateng for a start. And then to remonstrate and start fighting with Willie Collum as he goes off, I mean, does that not merit some subsequent punishment?
That's not for us to mete out that decision. Yes, potentially. Absolutely. I think what might save him is the fact that David Martindale has come out and said, no, that's the absolute right decision, and his manager is not condoning it or trying to condone it.
And he said he would take action himself. So
yes.
So I suppose that would take it out of the official.
Well, we don't know if he didn't take action afterwards. He obviously hasn't sent him off again, because we would know that, but we don't know if he's further sanctioned him for saying something, dissent, whatever, but he behaved like an absolute idiot.
No, absolutely. That was a big moment, but a disallowed goal when the game was goalless was a big moment as well, fellas. Bakayoko, lovely strike. Goalkeeper couldn't keep her out in his left corner. Funnily enough, Boateng was the man, the Dundee player furthest forward, but there was a Livingston defender behind him. The ball seems to go between underneath the two of them and into the net. Willie's asked to go and look at the monitor, and he disallows it because he thinks, well, we understand Jordan McGee was interfering with the goalkeeper's vision.
So we understand it. Again, I'm at complete variance with it. Not for a second is that interfering with play. I mean, we all know it's not the wording. It's not an offence to be in an offside position. Clearly, the guy was in an offside position, but not obstructing. The ball didn't come near him. It didn't bounce off him. The goalie didn't stop, change direction, anything like that because of where it was. That was a perfectly good goal. And one of my great bugbears, I'm on a rant now, one of my great bugbears on VAR is that we seem to be using it now to come up with ever clever ways of disallowing goals.
Yeah. I mean, the whole ethos of football is to score goals, right?
Absolutely.
So you would think you should err on the side of the attacking team rather than the defending team, for a start.
Well, for a start, you should try and err on it. It's an entertainment business. Fans are there in the stadium, fans are there watching on television, paying their subscription fees to pay-per-view channels, etc. to watch. You're not even erring on the side of caution there. It's wrong. The Dundee player is onside. The Livingston player is playing him on.
Yeah.
The Dundee player who is sanctioned for being offside, he's not within the... If he is within the goal post area, it is very, very slight, but he makes no motion to play the ball.
Nope.
He has no motion to get involved for a rebound, but the keeper's thinking, oh, I better hold this or I'm going to spill it and somebody can jump in. The Dundee player absolutely had no involvement in active play. And as Steve correctly said, being in an offside position isn't not an offence. So, yeah, if it's spilled and the Dundee player had then picked it up, yep, no problem. But it was a clean strike at goal. The Livingston player clearly plays the Dundee player onside. Why is it called offside?
Don't get it.
There should be a goal.
Well, I don't think it's called offside.
It's called offside for the other player. It's not called offside for the player. Well, sorry, they're saying it's interfering with play.
Yeah.
But the guy is onside and he's not interfering with play. He's allowed to be in that position. He's allowed to do whatever. He could do a rain dance if he wanted, if there's a Livingston player behind him. So it's just a completely wrong call.
So as Steve says, in this instance, this is a VAR blunder. This isn't a Willie Collum blunder, but Willie has exacerbated the VAR blunder. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. We can all make mistakes. We all have made mistakes. But the whole point of VAR is that you've got a separate set of eyes looking on it, which is meant to be a fail-safe. And we're praising whoever, can't even remember who VAR was. We were praising him for the sending off, but that one was just awful. And I'll say it again, the only inference from what they did there was to try and look really clever in disallowing goals. It's, as Des said, it's not what the paying punter wants. One way guarantee to make sure people don't go and watch footballs to have that sort of thing.
Is that a worry for you? I mean, do you think that they are over analysing things?
Absolutely. I've said it before. It's coming up with fancy ways of disallowing goals. And, go back to the Scotland-Spain game, the same sort of incident. If there's any hint of a goalie being interfered with or coming up with any possible get out of jail clause, they'll bloody be right at you instantly to try and get it. The goalie at the weekend, the Livingston goalie, it was past him. No complaints, the same as the Spain goalie.
Yep.
They both just thought, oh, bugger, that's it.
Yeah.
No arguments, no interference, nobody running at Willie, no nothing.
You actually see the celebration from the Dundee player who runs across to the far side. I'd never seen any one yellow jerseyed player make a move for the referee.
There was
they
no
accepted
complaint.
it. There was no complaint whatsoever.
Nope, none at all.
And I think generally, and I know it's not how you should go about your business, but it's quite telling. If you make a mistake, you've got 11 players, angry players, letting you know. The fact that nobody even challenged it or questioned it or even bothered about it, then I think that's quite telling in itself.
No, totally.
Absolutely. So, like you keep saying, the Teflon Don will march on, won't he? I mean, he'll just be...
Without a shadow of a doubt.
He'll be reappointed to the next set of fixtures for sure.
It was guaranteed. And again, we'll say it before, if Des or I, and we have...
That's why we are sat here.
Made as many mistakes, guaranteed we'd be, at some point, we'd be getting hauled into the SFA. I don't know what Willie has to do to have a sanction.
He's maybe not got a sat nav that goes into G42. Apart from semi-finals and finals.
Just looking at the Motherwell Ross County game, which is perhaps arguably the most exciting game of the weekend, with Motherwell coming back from 3-1 down with 2 late goals to get a draw. But the one that I like to talk about with you fellas is to see what you think about it. Is Ross Laidlaw gives away a penalty, brings down Beirut rather, to give Motherwell the penalty kick. Clear penalty. In the old days, you would be sent off for that. But the new rule is you don't go for that. Is this giving the goalkeepers a wee bit of a licence because they know they can get away with that to a degree?
I don't know. I think that's maybe
not for me.
Crediting them with too much thinking power. I don't think it comes into their mind. And I have to say, I don't. Again, we're talking about entertainment. The goalie's got one chance to hack somebody. So if it's an automatic sending off, then no, I don't think that's fair. So I'm more than happy with them. The penalty's a big enough sanction. If you want to, yellow card. But no, I don't think automatically.
No, he's the only player in the pitch who's allowed to go with the ball with his hands. The goalkeeper's made a genuine attempt to dive with his hands. He's just not got there. It's a foul. See if that foul happened in the middle of the park where two defenders, a defender and a midfielder, came together. It's a foul. The goalkeeper's made a legitimate attempt. He's not wanting to give away a penalty because he knows straight away he's putting his team under pressure. I think that's perfectly acceptable. If he went out with his feet, or if he went out high up and he's grabbed the boy down with his jersey or his shorts, whatever, but he's lay on the floor, he's made a genuine attempt, he's not got there, he got up, he took his medicine, he went back. I'm quite happy with that.
They changed the word. It was a few seasons ago, wasn't it? In the old days, our old days, it would have been denying a clear goal scoring opportunity. Yeah. But I can't remember exactly when. But the wording along the lines of, if you have a genuine go, then you don't get sent off for it.
And he's the only one who can go with his hands, which he did. So
I think it's fair enough. Now I wouldn't have any complaints.
Yeah, there's no double jeopardy now, is there? It's penalty and yellow for any goalkeeper, unless it just about kills the guy, as you say.
If you do a Schumacher,
it wasn't Harold Schumacher.
I was going to say, hopefully you still get sent off for that. But otherwise, no, I'm okay with the weekend.
Although if he was outside of the box and he brought him down in a goal scoring position, he would be sent off.
Yeah,
yes.
Especially if he was Schumacher. I still can't believe he got away with that.
And for the younger listeners, you need to look up on YouTube of the 1982 World Cup as we all show our age.
The assistant referee that day was?
No idea.
Bob Valentine.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Well, okay.
Was there only one?
Well, there was only one that counted in Scotland. But yeah, it was Patrick Battiston and Harold Schumacher. And from what I remember, or not remember, from what I'm told, Bob Valentine was the assistant referee.
That's another one I've had my run-ins with.
Steve, I could put in the back of your stamp the amount of ones you've not had.
I know. Fair play.
But yeah, pretty much otherwise it was fairly quiet over the weekend. The one in the Celtic game at Hibs, which was fairly mundane, Alistair Johnson got the ball in the face and ended up having to go off completely, and it was substituted, which surprised me a little. But in this day and age, it doesn't seem like an injury that would normally necessitate a player to go off.
It's, like I've said many a time, one of my bugbears is the head injuries.
Right.
And that sort of one, taking a ball in the face at full pelt from a couple of steps away, I think you should automatically be taken off for a head injury assessment. And apparently they have that power, don't they? But they just don't use it. The same as rugby. He instantly should have been taken off for at least 10 minutes, get a full head injury assessment, and then he's got his temporary sub, and then you make your mind up whether that's full or not. And it's just showed you that time he's took a bad enough one that he's eventually had to go off. But I think that should be automatic.
Mm-hmm. Would you go along with temporary subs, Des? Is that something you'd be keen to see for head injuries?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's only common sense. If someone's got a potential brain injury and a concussion, then they're obviously not in a capacity to continue. But as Steve quite rightly said, if you can go and assess that player and within 10 minutes or whatever designated time you wish to give, and you can say, yep, clean bill of health, he's okay to go back on, absolutely. I would much rather that than wait another week or so down the line and the guy's sitting there with pounding headaches and vomiting and stuff like that. So no, I think that's only a sensible decision, and say I think they do have the right to do so for a concussion substitute.
They've just not used it in
anywhere
approaching top leagues.
Yeah. I think the reason is, isn't it, if it's deemed concussion, then by definition he cannot play for two weeks.
There's different protocols in different places, but it's an automatic time span where he can't play, and that's, say it's 2 weeks. that's if all goes well in that 2 weeks. If there's one of the assessments that, and I hate the word fail, but you know what I mean, if he fails an assessment, that delays it even longer.
Right.
So potentially, for taking that ball in the face, he could be out for a month. So obviously, and we're just talking about him, it could be any manager. Brendan Rodgers doesn't want to miss, to lose him for a month, just for taking a ball in the face. But it's, I think for people's future health and well-being, I think it's only sensible.
It turns out he was back in training, the first training session Celtic had since the Hibs game, so it seems like everything's okay.
Yeah.
But it's the one to watch, isn't it? Because it's becoming a big talking point in sport in general, isn't it?
Yeah. And was it last season when FIFA decided not to have firmer sanctions for head injuries? I think that's a complete abdication of their responsibility to the game and to the players.
And they're trying to stop heading among younger players as well, aren't they, Des, in terms of their development, or limit it, let's say, in training sessions?
Yeah, well, I know obviously my oldest son, they don't practice heading at training because it's frowned upon. In fact, it's not even frowned upon, it's not allowed. And you actually notice it during games that kids tend not to head the ball. And certainly when I'm going along and watch him on a Saturday morning, thankfully or not thankfully, Rui's quite a strong player, and he's good in the air and he'll put himself forward for it. But it's something they're trying to dumb down and not dumb down, drum out for the game at a younger age.
Where's the next Joe Jordan, Derek Johnson or Duncan Ferguson coming from then?
Look, maybe some of those names, be careful what I say afterwards, but once their brain is fully developed, fine. But I would probably agree that you restrict it, certainly in kids who are developing and growing. But we're not saying don't do away with headers. It wouldn't be football, but when you take a ball full in the face, and again we're showing our age, Murdo McLeod at the World Cup,
Gosh,
you haul them off
instantly,
and you have an assessment of them before you even think about putting them back on.
Caught by a Branco special, wasn't it? Yes. My goodness,
he was unconscious before he hit the ground.
Yeah, it was frightening, wasn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely. And listen, I just want to get you guys, I know we haven't spoken about it, the worst decision we've seen in a long, long time, the Luis Diaz disallowed goal, Liverpool-Tottenham. I know it's a few weeks ago now, but it was, you cannot believe the best league in the world has come up with a decision like that, hasn't come up with a decision like that and allowed that passage of play to happen. You must have been appalled watching it.
Well, VAR, we keep saying it's not a panacea. When humans are involved, there'll be mistakes, but that was absolutely appalling. Yeah, no mitigation, no idea how or why something like that could happen. But again, managers take it to extremes, and asking for games to be replayed because a decision didn't go your way, I think detracts from the importance of the decision. And it's only the best league in the world because they claim it is.
I think the thing for me, looking at that, if you take that incident in isolation, the bit I've been most disappointed, take away VAR, take away the conversation, because when you listen to the transcript and you hear them all, I mean, it was very, very busy and there was lots going on. But why did the assistant referee not get it right in the first place? Because it wasn't a shoestring, it wasn't a big toe. There was a gap. And if this is the best league in the world, probably the biggest game of the weekend, and you're putting your top officials there, why didn't he get it right in the first place? I'd been more disappointed in that. But what transpired thereafter just really wasn't becoming of, Steve said there, the best league in the world. If we've got the best league in the world and the best technology and the most amount of money thrown at it, these decisions should always be gotten correct.
Well, the irony was that the technology did work.
It did work.
The technology produced the right decision, which was onside, but the bumbling fools in the box couldn't relay this to the referee.
We keep saying it, there's nothing wrong with the technology. The technology works. Again, going back to the Scotland-Spain game, that incident was plain as you like. The technology couldn't have got it any better if it had made it up. It's officials' interpretation of it.
They did make it up.
Well, they changed their mind as they were going along. So there's nothing wrong with the technology. It's how we use it and the way that it's being used. That one, the Scotland one, at the weekend, and you hear more and more clamour for even ex-players and pundits, the groups that we're all on. You hear them saying it's time to bin it. It's just bringing football into disrepute.
Yeah, I don't understand that notion, Des. I mean, you can't turn the clock back. We've got this forever now, and we just hope it becomes better, and we hope that the humans operating it become better.
What have we said since prior to October last year when it came in? The technology is not the issue. it's the people who work it. And even before they get to work it, it's the education and the training and the coaching they provided. Now, we've seen the Sky Sports documentary last week, which...
cheerleading documentary. Which
even Greg Aitken, who is a specialist VAR, he said, we are now getting more coaching, we're now getting more education. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. That should have been in there before it even happened. Yeah. Yes, you'll get your teething problems. Steve and I have said since we're less grey hairs than we have now, that this should have been all ironed out prior to it. We've seen the failings that it's had in England, and I don't mean the word failings, we've seen the errors or issues is probably a better word. We've seen the issues that it's had in England. Mm-hmm. You use those experiences to mitigate what can happen up here, and you run it longer than bringing it in after 12 games. So VAR's not going, it's staying here. If we want to be a credible nation in Europe and in the world, FIFA use it. For us to be in major competitions, we've got to use it. Well, see if we've got to use it at that level, let's make sure our guys are able to use it at that level and make sure the people who are educating them and teaching them are the best people available to pass on that information. If you're paying, let's even put it down to the most simple standard, if you're paying for your son or daughter to go to Eton School, a private school, and paying all this money, you expect them to come out with top grades and be the best prepared they can. If you're paying all this money for this technology to come in, you're expecting your referees to be the most experienced and best people that they can be, and they're not getting things wrong. That's probably the best analogy that I can give it. And unfortunately, we're paying huge fees and not getting the return on it.
And just before we go, lads, quiz question of the week. Who's dished out the most yellow cards in
Steve.
the Premiership so far this season?
Yellow cards?
Yellow cards.
Must be Willie.
He's coming in at number 3.
Really?
Yeah.
I would say, maybe only because he's probably done it, I would say Nick.
He's actually number 2, bubbling up at number 1. John Beaton, 29 yellow cards.
Oh, maybe.
I'm not going to say. I was going to say one thing.
And with that, lads, thank you so much for
Welcome
contributing.
back.
Welcome back. And we'll see you next time and Get Involved Referee.